I want to ask you tonight, and I want to start my remarks with a very simple request, and that is, would you mind taking out your cell phones? I know, it's okay. I know that as you have been receiving the sage wisdom from your elders up here, you've been using your cell phones in any event. So just, if you wouldn't mind taking a look at your cell phones, you can wave them at me if you want. But know that the device, thank you, the device you hold in your hand has about 100 times more the processing power than this. Okay, that's not a vehicle from Star Wars, The Force Awakens. It's the spacecraft New Horizons that in mid-July recorded the first ever close-up pictures of Pluto. I just want to put it out there, in the run-through tonight that just took place about an hour and a half ago, we did that without music, and I think it really makes something. So I really appreciate the crew here getting that together, because it created a special moment. Well, that, at least for me, and that one person in the back of no particular achievement really liked the music. So it was designed, built, and is controlled by a team of scientists and engineers at the Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory, or APL as we know it. But what I'd like to do tonight is to put this mission in the context of you. When New Horizons began its historic flyby journey in 2006, you had roamed the Earth for 9 years. The iPhone launch was still a year away. Twitter had exactly 0 users, and Pluto was still a planet. Nearly a decade later, as you were making preparations to land at Hopkins, searching out future classmates on Facebook, and navigating the aisles of Bed Bath & Beyond for dorm supplies, New Horizons was making its final approach towards Pluto, navigating the outer reaches of our solar system to upend our understanding of its planets. You may have seen the pictures if you followed us on Twitter. What you may not know is the backstory of what it took to get them. Let's begin with the fact that the mission almost didn't happen. Funding was tight, and APL and its collaborators had to fight to get New Horizons off the ground. To do so, in a very tough climate, they assured Congress that they would deliver a spacecraft that would achieve its ambitious scientific aims, but for half the initial budgeted costs. And so Congress agreed, and APL and its partners completed the mission, and in record time. But I'm jumping the gun. There's more to this story. Fast forward to 2011. The team is 5 years into the mission. With the help of the Hubble Space Telescope, the New Horizons team is already gleaning a clearer, better picture of the space around Pluto, even allowing scientists to identify new moons in Pluto's orbit. In this case, clearer images also created a clearer understanding of the enormous risks confronting the mission. Along with uncovering those previously unknown moons, scientists feared that these moons might throw off debris into the Pluto system that could batter the spacecraft on its flyby mission. It turns out that when flying at about 30,000 miles per hour, it only takes a particle the size of a grain of rice to knock the craft out, something roughly this size. That is a grain of rice. You can see it right there. Now, thanks to the laws of kinetic energy, that rice grain becomes, as you know, the equivalent of a speeding bullet, literally. At this point, knowing this risk, the team had to start to troubleshoot. It was as if you had to cram 4 years of increasingly complex physics courses, homework, and lab experiments into one single weekend. It's like that, except exceptionally harder and happening as your spacecraft, and the hopes of so many hurdles through space. To manage this challenge, our APL colleagues had to calculate risks and consider alternative trajectories to Pluto. They had to confront the possibility that the only way to protect the spacecraft as it flew through the debris field would be to turn the spacecraft's cameras and instruments away from Pluto, thereby jeopardizing the mission. It would mean that they would have to sacrifice the epic scientific discovery they hoped for in order to preserve the chance of any discoveries at all. Now, luckily, the ultimate answer to this problem was was that New Horizons had a 1 in 10,000 chance of being hit through the debris field. So with 2 weeks left in the mission, the team leaders decided to stay the course. That is until the afternoon of July 4th, 2015, when the spacecraft suddenly went silent. As Alice Bowman, the mission's operations manager at APL, widely observed, watching over this mission is like parenting a teenager. You send it out into the world well-equipped and hope that it calls home once in a while. Your parents asked me to use that quote so that you would get the meaning of the grand metaphor. Well, that afternoon, New Horizons stopped calling home. And the leaders soon figured out that the craft was still connected, but it had gone into safe mode after its computers overloaded with too many commands. So Alice and her team, that included the project manager, systems engineer, and several others, spent a very intense holiday weekend convincing the spacecraft that everything was okay and it could proceed with the mission. And they succeeded in uploading the final flight plan with a week to spare before the once-in-a-lifetime flyby. And the only thing left to do was hope that New Horizons would make history. And after 9.5 years and 3 billion miles, it did just that. Of course, with the spacecraft flying 3 billion miles away, it actually takes more than 4 hours for transmissions to travel back to Earth at the speed of light, and several hours after for the messages to be processed. So we had to wait just a little bit longer to get the final confirmation. But when it came, well, see for yourself.
We have a healthy spacecraft. We've recorded data of the Pluto system, and we're outbound for Pluto.
I had the amazing good fortune of being at APL with our collaborators and friends from NASA and the Southwest Research Institute when they celebrated that moment when the New Horizons signal reached Earth. It was both an extraordinary and indeed a very ordinary day at your university. Because you see, Hopkins is a place that refuses to be derailed by daunting problems, a place that embraces the thrill of intellectual risk-taking to solve those problems as they arise. And I believe we succeed because we are also a place where unparalleled collaboration opens avenues to new ideas and unites individual talents in a whole that is much greater, much, much greater than the sum of its parts. It's just who we are. And by that I mean all of us, it is just who we are. This is true of the surgeons, scientists, physicists, engineers, and nurses who are bringing new treatments to pediatric cancer patients. It's true of our economists, sociologists, and data scientists who are addressing the entrenched social, economic, and racial inequalities that plague our cities. And it is true of Alice Bowman, Peter Bendini, Glenn Fountain, Chris Hersman, and Mark Holdridge, the members of the New Horizons team who are here with us tonight. Would you please stand? We're so glad you're here. We knew that the class of 2019 might like to meet you, but the critical issue is, at the end of these speeches, That curtain will fall. There's going to be some amazing desserts, and you're going to have to do a whole lot of selfies with a whole lot of these people. You are our rock stars, so we're really pleased you're with us tonight. What we saw in these folks, we see in you. We see the same spirit of imagination and intellectual daring in each of you, not simply because of your transcripts and test scores, that is one snapshot, but because of the extraordinary, extraordinary stories that lie behind your arrival at this moment. Now, your journey from convocation to commencement will take a little less than half the time of New Horizons' trip to Pluto and significantly less than the 3 billion miles. But like the New Horizons team, you and your team of supporters have set your sights high, and you've fought hard to get this mission off the ground. And along the way, you may find yourself facing an unexpected debris field, one you could not have anticipated when you began. It may take the form of exams in organic chemistry. Every time, it seems to me, over the last 7 years, when I try and use a metaphor for the most demanding, difficult class at Johns Hopkins, I'm sorry to say it is always organic chemistry. Organic chemistry is truly unfairly criticized. It is actually at Hopkins. It is one of the most straightforward, simple, easy courses. Please have no apprehension whatsoever. It's a cakewalk. You may find challenges when you receive your first critique on your first short story, or when you face longtime rivals on Homewood Field. And you may just sail through that experience. But you may also have to navigate a different path to your destination, or an unexpected encounter may set you on an entirely new trajectory, personally or professionally. A meeting with a patient while you were volunteering at a clinic, a poetry class you took because it fit your schedule, or perhaps a coffee with a person sitting next to you that turns into the relationship of a lifetime. And here I tell you, with all due sincerity, we at Johns Hopkins aim to be a full-service organization and are concerned with your romantic achievements as much as your intellectual ones. So, know whatever your course, we know that you will fit in very well here. At Hopkins, we do big things. Sometimes they happen in a moment. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. And if we can get to this with less than the power of this, we know that you hold in your hands and minds the power to do so much more. To the class of 2019, bon voyage. Welcome to the Johns Hopkins family.